Okay, so just as a small intro and getting to the recording, who you are and what community you represent, for how long have you been in Open Collective, and that kind of primary information. So please start with that.
Okay, I think I will start. So we both represent the BetonQuest community, which is an open source project. And we've joined Open Collective in October of last month. And before that, we were actually on Patreon, and then we decided to make the switch because it seems much better than Patreon because we are an open source project. So an open platform, especially with the open source collective, fits our needs much better.
Cool. May I ask what's the features or capabilities that you think you need that Patreon doesn't have?
Well, the focus on open source projects is really helpful. I think there have been a few meetings or like trainings for open source maintainers in the past from Open Source Collective, which was really great. But other than that, I think the features are quite similar. There are some quality lags in some features, which we can maybe talk about later. But yeah, I don't think there's a big feature that we're missing right now.
I think one big feature is that we have here a shared account for the money. And on Patreon, we had to pay out to PayPal, and then we had to manage it by our own.
Yeah, so the transparency part is what interests you most. All right, good. And another question I have for you is how did you knew about Open Collective in the first place? Like, what was the channel where you find out, and how long did it take for you to switch?
That's a good question. I don't know personally, but I think I'm the one that initially discovered it. And I probably saw some other open source project using it. Then I think I thought, oh, this is cool. Let's try it out. I made an account. And then we realized it's not that easy for us. I think we didn't understand some concepts like the physical hosting at first. And then some months passed by. And then I finally convinced the others to look at this because our Patreon earnings were rising and we wanted to settle down to a good platform. And yeah, then we had to look at your platform once again and we made the switch. But it took a few months.
Cool. Okay, so this test is about recreating the creation process of a collective with real folks like you. So I'm going to ask any of you to present the screen with this link I'm sharing. Is the staging version of the platform, which means it's a mirror version. I mean, it's just to test stuff. Don't be afraid on to mess on anything. Like it's not real. It's just mirrors the same experience.
I cannot share my screen. I need permission from you.
Shoot. Always happens. Sorry. Okay, should we?
There we go. All right. Does it work?
Yep. And please feel free, both of you, to talk, think out loud on any remarks throughout your experience. Doesn't matter if it's really small details, whatever comes to your mind, please. That's a great help.
Okay, so right now I already know how it works and I'm just supposed to create a collective.
Yeah, just try to remember when you first, when you first started to consider to switch, what was in your mind. Probably I'm like trying to squeeze a 3-month process in 20 minutes, but just try to recreate what was on your mind, what were the key stages on your journey that where you said, hey, this works better than Patreon, or I don't like this as much. and yeah, then go to the path of creating a collective, and yeah, please think out loud of on what did it stress you, what you enjoyed, stuff like that.
Okay. So, well, at first, I think I've just looked at the front page to understand what this platform even is. I guess I've read through this. Okay. We can make money with this. But how can I do it? We can collect it. All kinds of payment methods. That's great. We can spend it. Anyone. That's cool. That's a feature PayPal. Patreon does not have. Manage money. Not sure what this is trying to tell me. We are not really, or at Patreon, we didn't have a problem with tracking our money. We didn't make any spreadsheets or something like that. Probably because we're so small. Okay, sharing. That looks cool. That's a good design. I think there's quite a high visual complexity in these, and the text is quite small, so I'm not really sure what's going on here at first glance. Updates, conversations, okay. We have our own platforms for that already. Okay, it's transparent. Yeah, reports don't really matter. Yeah, and I remember this part was one of the first things we had problems with, because we didn't get that you can only have one fiscal host, and we didn't understand the term fiscal host. We should have just Googled it to translate it to German, because, well, I think, Wolf, you don't know it either, but for me, I only realized what the fiscal host really is when I started translating the open source collective text myself, like in your translation program. So way after we even joined the platform.
So you joined and then discovered what the fiscal host is.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy that it went this way. Like we understand what this means, but the literal translation of the word makes it just a lot easier to understand what it is. Yeah, this is not interesting for a new user. And then I think I immediately went to open collective pricing, because we realized that Patreon pricing was quite high. This was also one reason for switching. And well, free forever sounds great, but we didn't believe it at first because we saw that Patreon fees are so high. We're not a host, but I think at first we thought maybe we have to become one in order to join the platform with a use case that we want. But I think I studied this page to check what's really going on with the pricing model. And well, yeah, then I probably started creating a collective. I think, should I use my existing? No, I can't use my existing email. I think I should do a new one, right?
Yeah, I think it won't remember you anyway.
Ah, okay. Let's try.
But this was also the point where we run into our first trouble, because we thought about we need to create the account for our organization, for our open source project, and not for our own. So we started here with a display name like BetonQuest and so on.
Yeah, exactly. That was I think, the biggest flaw in the entire design, because the structure of the platform is good. You have multiple accounts that can access one collective. But the way we know it from Patreon is that you have just one creator account, and you cannot have multiple maintainer user accounts that can access that central account. A magical link. Let's see. It takes some time. There we go. Yeah, we are an open source project. What is this? Oh yeah, okay. I think I've discovered quite a few big projects on your platform at first, which probably also made me want to switch, because we are a quite small open source project, but these really big and powerful projects are also on your platform. So I thought, okay, this project can be trusted. It's good for us and will have a benefit. Yeah, this sounds great. We don't want to deal with taxes or banks or accounting or anything.
Good that you guys read the whole thing.
We always do. I accept. Yeah, GitHub stars, I think we did that.
Yes, we did.
This was quite a convenient way. Pick a repository. Oh, yeah, the repository is not here. It's in an organization account. Yeah, not getting help with my problem using that link. That's a dead end. Can I go back? I think
You need to.
I should have done this one, right?
Yep. Correct.
Okay. My password. You can't see my password manager, right?
Yes, we cannot see it.
Okay. GitHub. Okay. Yeah, that's the fault of GitHub and not yours, I guess. Okay, now there we go. Oh, is that new? I can't remember this,
remember that.
but it sounds really good. Yeah, our URL, and we go. Yeah, this is the point where we realized, oh shit, we should have created a personal account at first and not BetonQuest as a personal account. Yeah, then I would have invited Gabriel. Should I invite him now?
I do not have an account there, so it's probably
Oh,
not
yeah.
possible.
We do have a web page. Don't have Twitter. Yay, fireworks. Okay. Just checking out our default page. And I realized he pulled my profile picture off of GitHub. That's good. Okay, and I think now I would start to set up the tiers and just general page things like the description and stuff like that. Should I continue with that, or is that enough?
No, it's cool. Well, I mean, the next thing that you did after creating your collective page was to setting up the tiers and that kind of stuff, right?
Yeah.
Did you have any trouble like customizing your page or like
Yeah.
understanding like that tier thing?
Yeah. One of the things is the goals. I think there was a bug, like we checked show it, but it always disappeared for some reason. Yeah, but right now it works, so I think you guys have fixed that. And was a big confusion with these goals, because at first, like on Patreon, you can tell your users, okay, I need $100 to pay one software license, and if you give me another 100, I can pay, I don't know, an employee or something. And these numbers automatically add up. And in your goal system, you have to add them up yourself. So I think if I add 100 and add another 100, yeah, they're on the same spot. But test 2 should be added to test 1, and then the total amount should be 200 and not 100. This is what we noticed here. And where are there? Yeah, there's a bunch of options here. I don't think Patreon has that many options because they have like a fixed pricing. There's not something like pay what you want, which you guys allow. So we had and still had until last month big problems designing our tier structure. I think we changed it 3 times because we couldn't settle on a nice design that both looked great and were accepted by the user. So like I felt like that we didn't get as much users or donators as we could have with a nicer tier structure. I tried to check out other projects and see how they did it, but they had very unique designs that were, because it's so customizable, that were just working on their project. For example, they had these sub pages where you can have these goals per tier, and this is not something we could use right now. So yeah, we had to change this a lot and fiddle with it, and yeah, we hopefully finally have settled on a design that will stay there longer. Anything else?
Yeah, which is the individual quester, successful server, enterprise server, like those tiers, right?
Yeah, exactly.
I think the first thing was that we tried to redo the same tiers as we had on Patreon, and then we realized that this is not easy that possible.
And Patreon also adds the fees and taxes onto your amount, and this is not the case here. So you also have to recalculate your pricing, which is also just a little bumper on the road. Yeah, I think this thing looks a bit strange. I don't know why. Just feels strange to me, but it works. I think we don't really use any of the other things. No, we use this page, but just a few months later, when we started getting more donators, because we wanted to show it in our documentation. Let me show it to you. At the bottom, we have such an integration, and I actually found this on some third-party page or on the documentation of Open Source Collective, because I think these pages are not complete or up to date. I think
yeah, they was a little bit buggy. They did not scale it correctly. It was a little bit hard to get it work probably, so it's on the right width for the page and so on.
Yeah, that's an additional problem with these, but yeah, I think this complete widget is not on this page, or not in the way we need it. Let's see. Yeah, I think this was the page when we realized we can only have one physical host and not two. Yeah, we've also experimented with webhooks in the few last weeks, but we didn't get it to work for some reason. But we don't use a supported platform. We use Discord, which is not something you list here, so not sure if that's a bug or just our fault. Yeah, I think that's it on this page.
Yep. Oh, good. That was pretty much the process I wanted to recreate. This has been like extremely helpful. So yeah, I mean, if you don't have anything else to show on your side, like any outstanding thing that you want to go through, feel free to stop sharing, and let's focus on some follow-up question before wrap up.
I've just noticed another thing. The concept of a slug was not clear to me. I think in this context it is, but I think when I first tried it, where I deleted my account and then came back a few months later, I saw the word slug everywhere and I did not really get what it means. I'm not sure. Is it a technical term? Gabriel,
yes, Salt, it's a technical thing. If you have a little bit to do with web development, you know that a slug is everything behind a slash.
Yeah, I'm not a web dev, so. Yeah, but I've also written down a few things, but I think we've already talked about them. Yeah, that's it.
All right. Well, thank you guys. This has been great. And just as to wrap up, I want to ask a final question to you, which is, if you were to describe Open Collective to someone else, how would you do that?
I would say it's this virtual organization that deals with the overhead of doing taxes and with all the legal stuff for you, instead of you having to do that yourself.
I would probably say a really transparent platform where everyone can say what is going on with the money.
Cool. All right. Well,
I would have one last thing, because
Sure.
I searched for a longer time for something like a Discord bot, because we are interested in synchronizing that someone has paid us money to Discord, but we did not find any. So there is no native solution, but I could also not figure out something that we can build up for our own.
This was a big negative point in comparison to Patreon, because they have such a bot. And this was only the real big negative point of Open Collective that we discovered in the first few weeks.
Yeah, like the integrations part, right?
Yeah.
Being able to integrate with Discord or wherever you're using for maintaining your community.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
Cool. Good to know. Thanks for the heads up. All right. If there's anything else that you want to raise up, I think we can wrap up. Super good, super German in the right in the schedule and inside our time book. So I'm really happy, and thanks a lot for the insights that you provided. Again, this is just for recording. We will have it on our internal database. And if at any point in the future you're not feeling comfortable with us keeping your, this stuff, you can always ask for us to remove it, and we will do so. No questions asked. All right. Yeah, I think that's it for me. One last thing is that I will ask your details to a pool that we're putting up together of users interested in research experiments and testing. So we can contact you again, on any further update on this onboarding thing specifically, or, any other feature that is regards any of your interests. So if that's okay, I will feel free to reach back out to you guys. And also will love to hear from you. And I want to make myself available. So if you need anything or want to, want to make like another request or like this one, like this Discord one, please feel free to reach out. So yeah, I would love to see how you guys are evolving using Open Collective, and I hope to speak with you soon.
Okay, great. Thanks
Thank
for
you.
trying to improve the user experience.
Yeah. It's I mean, it's there are lots of things to do. I'm not really satisfied at this point with the current state, but it's a step-by-step thing. I'm sure you guys know about that as well, since you're my maintainers. So, all right, I hope to speak with you soon, and I'll keep track of your project if that's okay. I'll be in touch.
All right.
Okay.
Have a nice weekend.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.